everybody, and welcome to Turncloaks, a Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition actual play podcast presented by Encounter Roleplay. I will be your Dungeon Master for tonight. My name is Will, and I have our full cast and crew ready for today as it's episode 1 of Turncloaks. Yes, let the misery truly begin, my friends, because we have all of these players ready to enter the world of Penumbra for the very first time. So let's go around. Let's figure out who we are and who we're playing today. And let's start off with Josh. How's it going, Josh?
It's going good. I'm super excited. Not at all apprehensive, because sure, everything's going to be great and cheerful and happy, and there's no deep, dark, foreboding plague hanging over everyone. No, it's going to be joyous and wonderful.
Only the best of times are to be had in Penumbra. Yes, fantastic. So, Josh, talk to us a little bit about Charles, or Luna.
So Charles is a human. He's getting on now. He's actually in his late 30s. He has a daughter named Lucia, and he has been travelling north from a small village of Rushlow to escape the blood plague and to bring with him his daughter, who he's a single dad. You know, he's working hard. He's doing everything he can, and you got to respect him for that.
Yes, you do. Fantastic. That is Charles, or Luna. Let's go over to Tool School. How's it going, Tool School?
Hey, how are you doing? Yeah, not apprehensive at all after recording our backstories and knowing what you have in store for us.
I may be a little bit prone to evil in this campaign.
Just a little.
So talk to us about Alistair.
Alistair is a member of the Order of the Crows, or I guess is a crow, which is one of the plague doctors that moves around this area, this continent of Penumbra. He is quite young, however, not many people would know what his age is, as he is pretty much all the time wearing this plague doctor mask, similar to those that you see in medieval times, sort of that looks like a crow with a large beak. Other than that, they would be able to tell he's an elf. They can see his elven ears. He has pale skin and pale, almost crystal blue eyes that are somewhat disconcerting to people who see them, because that is about all that they see of his face through the crow mask. As far as what he's wearing, he basically is wearing like a set of leather sort of long cloak robes that are fastened with toggles down the center front, and which pretty much covers him up. He wears gloves again. Since he is a plague doctor, he does take precautions, so not much of his skin is showing. Very much a, I don't want to call it an overcoat, but it's almost like a Western overcoat with these toggles down the middle and sort of an overcloak on the outside, all done in leather, and then with his crow mask over the front.
Fantastic. Awesome, that's Alistair, and let's move on to Joseph. How's it going, Joseph?
It's pretty good. Pretty optimistic about this. The glass is half full with our hopes and dreams, and I have no doubt you'll probably be dumping that down the sink soon, but it's all fine.
Fantastic. Talk to us about Tamarin.
Tamarin, he's, at this point, he's about 22 years old. He's a little bit of a slender guy. He usually keeps his hair tied back with a headscarf, and he's got some nice leather armor on and a nice little tunic over that, height of peasant fashion in Boghaven, and some bracers and a white rabbit's foot dangling from his belt.
Fantastic. All right, and last but not least, we have Sydney with us today. How's it going, Sydney?
It's going good. I'm super excited for the death and the plague and the crying and all of my favorite things.
Hey, there are good things too, man. There are good things. Well, in like episode 30, we'll find at least one good thing. That is not a promise. If by the time you're listening to this there is episode 30 and it's horrible, then I do not apologize. But Sydney, talk to us about Ori.
Okay, Ori is a half-elf gal. She is about 20. She's pretty short and scrawny, and she's got really stringy, kind of blonde hair. And she has her traveling companion, which is Tam.
Fantastic.
And her whole family has had their heads cut off in front of her. But she's still as chipper as ever.
You win some, you lose some. You lose a lot.
You win
in this
one,
case.
you lose 25.
Yeah.
And they're all children.
Can't wait to win this one. It's going to have to be one hell of a one.
Oh, but there is no winning in Penumbra. So, without any further ado, I guess let's dive into today's first episode. Now, if you haven't listened to the origin stories, then I strongly recommend you guys go back and listen to the previous 2 episodes, in which you'll learn a lot more about the backstories of each of these characters that we're playing with today, and it will inform much of the story that is happening throughout the rest of the campaign. So make sure you go listen to those. And today we're going to be picking up our story some years later in the town of Einham, near Ostwald, which is in the Midlands. Now, to summarize what's been going on in Penumbra since last we saw it, the Blood Plague has been sweeping through the summer fields like wildfire, claiming thousands of lives to the point that bodies line muddy streets. From where the plague comes, no one really knows. Only a few strongholds and villages to the south have been able to see the stench of death turned back, and only that is for a certain amount of time. Rumours as to the origin are perhaps more virulent than the contagion itself, with tavern speak ranging from talk of a deluded alchemist to magical involvement. The scholars at Ostwald seek the cure and feverishly work to save an ailing Emperor Godfrey, whom, if rumour is to be believed, has fallen ill. And we're going to pick up our story with Alistair, who is first to arrive in the town of Einham, who has been sent a message via Crow to arrive here and to stop the plague before it grows any worse, because it's believed that Einham may be one of the next towns to be affected. At this point, however, it's a fairly prosperous town. It's right next to Ostwald, which is the capital city of the Midlands, the richest point in all of the world at this point. And it lies under the shadow of Ostwald, which has a huge sweeping spires and towers that quite literally overshadow the smaller town of Einham, including the one gigantic bell tower, which is an edifice to the Emperor. And this town of Einham is not run by the Emperor himself. It's actually run by one of the closest companions to the Emperor, whose name is Sir Renfred. He's not a member of the 100, but he is perhaps the publicly known closest figure to Emperor Godfrey that there is. So Alistair, as you arrive in the town of Einham, you're immediately let through a rather long line of people who are waiting to get inside. There's a quarantine zone, and the Knights of the Emperor are essentially guarding the town off from people and only letting those through who seem to be completely free of plague and disease. But you're quite swiftly let through. And you, in fact, have been given orders that you are to meet with Sir Renfred, who has specifically requested the assistance of one of the Order of the Crows. And so, as you're coming through this town, you see a fairly prosperous town, as I mentioned. People are out and about and plying their trade in many of the other villages and towns. You see people's doors are completely locked and barred up, but it seems like normal life is still managing to exist within Einham at this point. And you are led by one of the knights, who is a large man who is fully plated and mailed in armor, truly quite resplendent despite all of the death and misery around in the Midlands at this time. And he shows you to a larger house, which you think probably served as a barracks for the knights. As you're let inside, There's this large room before you which has been cleared out, and it seems like the soldiers have been living here for some time, and there are other knights inside as well. And a man turns to see you, who you recognize to be Sir Renfred by status. He's not wearing full knightly armor. He himself, you would know, isn't technically a knight. He is simply a lord and owns land, but he does look like a soldier. He's got short cropped hair and sunken dark eyes. You can see that he's seen a fair amount of battle in his time, and wears a mailed hauberk. Whilst he has a sword at his hip, he is not drawn, and he attempts to summon a meagre smile when he sees you, although smiles don't come easy when you're looking down the face of a plague doctor. And Sir Renfred says, "Greetings, Crow. I am glad that you have seen fit to arrive at these lands."
What is the situation here? How many cases?
It's difficult to tell exactly who is a true case and who is simply a ailing peasant. There are hundreds who would have us believe that they may show some sign of plague, but I cannot tell a true victim from another. There's lines of them outside, but I had a few in mind that I'd like you to look at first, if that's okay.
Of course. I will need to see everyone. The only way to stop this is to stop it before it starts.
Of course. Walk with me. And he leads you outside into the bustling streets, and sends the knight who was with him away. And he says, "I can't stand the amount of soldiers there are in this place, always following me around. Apologies if you had any difficulty in your arrival."
He just nods and doesn't say anything else.
He continues walking and leads you to this packed bunkhouse in which you can see that there are tons of people inside, all of them kind of coughing and spluttering. And he says, "We've led them in here. Those that believe they might be ill, or if their friends have told us that they are. There's a list in there. Someone should be able to order them about, and, well, if there's anything you need, then please don't hesitate."
Alistair nods at him and basically dismisses him. If you are showing no signs, do not enter. Do not let anyone who is healthy or appears healthy within this space.
He nods and says, "I've known a few of your order in my time. You always do efficient work." And he nods once again, does a short kind of military bow, and turns and leaves.
Alistair turns to this room full of death, or death, what he expects to be death. Smooths back his white hair, sort of just runs it through, and then with a bit of a deep breath, he puts the customary herbs that was taught from his master, the old crow, into the beak, and goes in to see what awaits him with this new city and new outbreak of the plague.
Fantastic. Luna, let's cut to you real quick. So yes, you've been in the town of Einham for some time. You've been given temporary lodgings by the knights in a fairly poor district of the town with your daughter Lucia, who at this point is around 10 or 11 years old. Unfortunately for you, Luna, you have fallen sick with something of a cold, and now everyone's on hyper alert in the town, and so pretty quickly you've been sure to get yourself checked out, as it were, and been sent to one of these bunkhouses in order to see whether or not you have the real plague. It seems unlikely because there are no other confirmed plague victims within Einham at this point, but it's entirely possible. And so you want to make sure that you get cleared, because if you don't get clearance, then it's possible that the knights can just throw you out from this town. And Einham is one of the only kind of centres of safe refuge that you've been able to find over the past years, and you've even been lucky enough to get lodgings here. So you have a very small sort of house with Lucia, and that's where we'll pick up the story this morning, as you're about to be headed out. And Lucia's up, and she says, "You have to go, Dad."
Look, I know you don't like being left home alone, but you're growing up to be quite a young lady, so I trust you can take care of the house, and you remember what we talked about. Don't open the door to anyone other than me.
She nods. "It's not the house I'm worried about, it's you."
I know, I just... it's just, probably some flu or something that's going around, but look, Sweetheart, I'm just worried. Not for me, I'm worried for you. So,
I'll be
tell
fine.
you what, I'll worry about you, you worry about me, and between the two of us, sure we'll be fine. But,
Okay, deal.
just stay safe, and he sort of lingers awkwardly, very reluctant to sort of actually leave the house, and finally just gives her an awkward smile and heads off towards the bunkhouse.
Okay. You head inside, and there are rows of coughing, sputtering people, some of which have, colds like yourself, which is likely to be some kind of flu, or it could be a strain of the blood plague. Others, simply have like a stubbed toe, and think that they can maybe get something out of this, and are kind of hanging in these bunkhouses. But there are, hundreds of people actually crammed up into this quite long wooden structure, and you're told to wait in line. And down the end of the corridor, you see this man who can't be very old, with a plague mask on, come in, and a bit of kind of silence enters the room as this is a herald of plague and death, and sets up in one of the rooms, and one by one people are called inside and either very quickly dismissed or stay for some treatment after a while. It seems like everyone's being ran out fairly swiftly, and you just wait in line. Now let's cut to the other two, Tamarin and Ori. You two are entering Einham for the first time, looking to escape the plague and find a safe refuge, along with hundreds of others who are looking to do the same. The line has been a very long one that you've been waiting in, probably for several days, along with other people who are basically refugees. So the two of you are basically shoved ahead as you realise that it's your turn, and there is a knight who's standing in full armour, and he has essentially a list in front of him, and a quill, and he seems to be writing on it. And he looks towards the two of you. Names?
Tamon Rysick.
How do you spell that?
T.
Actually, don't worry about it. I'll just make one up.
Okay.
And you?
I didn't come up with a last name. I need a random one. Somebody give me one.
Sternwick.
You don't have to say your full name. It's not like a world in which everyone has a second name.
Yeah. Aurora.
You what?
You could just put Ari.
Ori. You see him butcher your name in writing. All right, what you want him?
We would like to enter the city.
Yeah,
we're on the run.
fucking well done. And so's everyone else. Why are you entering? What skills, trade do you bring?
Well, I'm a hunter, and she is my friend, who is learning to hunt as well. She's a very promising apprentice.
So your trade is hunter, and your trade is friend.
Well, I can cook, and I can care for people, and
She makes a wonderful rabbit stew. You have to try it sometime.
He he gives you this look, like a kind of pained expression, like that isn't what he wants to hear. He writes it down nonetheless. He's like, "Listen, between you and me, you might want to say something a bit more if you want to get in. You know what I mean?"
I am highly trained with a sword.
You're trained with a sword, really? Is that so? Very good. Anything else?
Daggers, short bows, things of that nature.
Right, yeah, fucking hell. Alright, tell you what, used to, you can get temporary lodgings in the bunkhouse. First of all, you gotta get checked out, though. Any pusses, buboes, cuts, wounds? Been vomiting a lot?
No.
No.
Pregnant?
I don't
No.
think so.
No.
Okay, no.
Definitely not.
Alright. And he kind of checks his list off and says, "You go up there," and he points behind him to a long bunkhouse. "And you wait in line."
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
"Yep, next." And he lets you go.
Okay.
That was, nerve-wracking.
Yes, I figured they'd be a bit abrasive. I knew the city was a place that was, well, very different from where we come from, but this is ridiculous.
We probably should have thought about the fact that I can't say I'm a great thief.
Well, it is a useful skill. I just don't think one that would be appreciated here. But
I should have come up with something else.
we'll figure out something. In the meantime, I think we should try and find our lodgings.
Yes.
Alright, so the two of you head towards a large bunkhouse, and you join the back of the queue. Okay, you're waiting behind a man. Josh, do you mind describing Luna for us?
Yeah, of course. Luna is quite tall, hunched figure, wearing a sort of simple, almost sort of robes. It's obviously that he's not particularly clean. He's spent a lot of time out in the field, so he's got plenty of tears. And he props himself up with a large walking stick, and his eyes are quite beady, and he constantly scans the room. He looks a little nervous, and currently round his mouth he has wrapped what looks like a shred of his own robe, covering his mouth, as he is not in the most hygienic of places and is doing everything he can to prolong his life and not die horribly, along with some of these terrible, terrible people we're currently mingling with.
Yeah. So you're waiting behind this man who's coughing occasionally into a scarf, and you have a bit of a long wait ahead of you as you apparently, as if the whispers amongst the crowd are to be believed, there is a plague doctor in town. Anything you guys want to do at this point?
Ari would, probably, cover her face with her cloak or something, just in case she might be contagious. Anything that she could possibly do to prevent it a little bit.
Tamarin takes his headscarf off and kind of makes a makeshift little handkerchief out of it, wraps his mouth.
Mm-hmm. And eventually it's your turn. The three of you are brought in to see the plague doctor. And Alistair, you're waiting in your, basically appointment room at this point, and no one yet has shown any signs of the strain of the blood plague as far as you're concerned. You've sent everyone away, and the three of these enter.
Okay. Alistair, he was trained by the old crow who never said a word, and after 50, 75 people who have come through who have shown no signs, someone who was thinking they had the plague because had stubbed their toe and it was bleeding, had a hangnail and didn't seem to clot. He's a bit frustrated, and he sees these three come in with their scarves tied over their mouths and noses, which he knows is pointless, and sort of in a frustrating way, just one after another, just all but yanks the scarf down. First, Tamron just yanks the scarf down and sort of opens his mouth up, looks inside, looks around his gums specifically, tilts his head back, looks up his nose, again looking for signs of blood, has a mirror where he is close to a window and shines it basically right into his eyes to check his tear ducts, and sort of roughly turns his head, Tamron's head one side, shining it in, and the other, and then basically just pushes him to go out and marks off on a sheet of paper that's, gives him a sheet of paper that says that he can hand to someone to tell him that he's clear. Basically, then he goes to Luna, same idea, just sort of pulls down this mask, and in a frustrated way is just doing the same thing again. Gums, is Luna trying to hold in a cough?
Yeah, quite badly. But he will cough. I mean, he can't help it.
So, I mean, I was basically, if you're like holding your breath to try to keep from coughing, he basically gives you a bit of a thump in the stomach so that you exhale, and then when you inhale, he immediately steps away from you, but doesn't give you a sheet of paper. Walks over to Ari, same sort of handling. I assume Ari's clear, Will?
Yes.
Same sort of thing with Tamron, sends her on her way, then comes back over to Luna. How long? Hours and days.
About a week, maybe a little longer.
He looks into his, again, with a mirror around his gums. Does Luna have all of his teeth?
No. He would have probably lost a couple, maybe near the back. He's had a couple of sparring matches, and he wasn't necessarily the best fighter. And his brother has knocked the occasional teeth out. It's a good. He's got a good smile. It's just a few at the back.
Yep. He basically has your mouth pried open and is pushing on the gums back there, checking. And a week, you say?
Yes, it should have been a week. Maybe a little less.
Doesn't even really listen to him all the way. Turns his head to the side, starts looking in his ear.
Listen, I have a daughter back home. I'm just worried.
Shut up. You're clear. You'd be dead by now. You just have a flu.
Right.
You don't want it to turn into the drowning, though. Stay warm. And he hands him a packet of herbs. You won't like it. Drink it. Twice a day. And he hands them the clear. And sends him on his way.
He takes it and he smiles and says, "Thank you for your work.
Don't be happy yet. For any of these people in line, we're all doomed.
Well,
Stay in your house with your daughter until that passes. You are susceptible to anything that is around. If there is any blood, lock yourself in. Don't come back. Yourself and your daughter. By the time you're bleeding, you're both dead."
Right. Well, I suppose you can't spread medicine and health and good cheer all at once. Good day to you. And quite morosely, Charles will leave this very morbid and foreboding man.
It says you turn to leave, you see that Sir Renfred is in the doorway, Alistair. As far as Luna's concerned, he would know who this man is. May not have seen him, but certainly by reputation, you'd have an understanding of who he is. Tamron and Ori probably just waiting in the doorway. He wouldn't have let you leave. So you kind of guys are in the same room at this point as Sir Renfred is blocking the door. He looks at the three of you cast a glance over, then moves in and closes the door to the chamber, locking away the rest of the line. And he says, what I'm about to tell you must not leave these walls.
Charles just looks around very confused as to why he's being told something that he can't tell anyone else, and just says, sorry, am I in the wrong place?
Not you. And he passes a scroll towards Alistair and says a crow came by.
Oh. He takes the scroll.
And he lets you open it, and you can tell it's a normal, like, sort of scroll that you would have seen that the crows have sent to you before. And he says, I just received this and, came to you as swiftly as possible. As you open the scroll, it reads, in a familiar hand, the Emperor will die tonight. Get out.
And this was... I'm talking to Sir Renford. This came by crow.
This came by crow not 10 minutes ago. Do you know of what it means?
He looks Sir Renfield in the eyes and says, No, I have no idea.
He gives you a distrusting look, and he is clearly not quite sure on what to judge by that, because you can't really see your face. All he's going on is the mask, basically. And he turns to the three of you. Has he mentioned any of this towards you?
Any
well,
of what? What? I Look, I'm not sure what exactly is going on here, but quite clearly I'm in the wrong room. So, if you'll excuse me.
Wrong time, wrong place, friend. You stay here. And you! He looks at Tamarin. Do you know this man? And he looks towards Alistair.
Well, he did decide to get to know me very well, but no, I've never met him before.
Casts an eye towards Ori.
No, we were just sent here to get checked out as everyone is. We know nothing of him, no more than anyone else.
A week ago, my spies uncovered a plot. We thought we'd thwarted it, but then this comes up. Sent to me, addressed to me, by one of the crows, it would seem. Forgive me if your arrival seems somewhat auspicious.
You would suspect that we, out of all the people coming to the city, are involved in a plot to kill the Emperor.
He gets out a list and says, it seems clear to me that you have lied upon your entrance into this town.
What?
You don't even carry a sword upon you, a bow, and you are a fierce hunter, and there are 10 other things on this list.
We did need to get in somehow. We're scared, so we had to leave our village when we watched it get destroyed. We are honest people and we could find ourselves a place in your city. But we are not here to carry out some deed as killing the Emperor would entail.
He looks you up and down. True enough, you do look like scum.
Have you ever received a crow before, Sir Renfield?
I have, when I was sending for you.
Interesting. How much do you know of my order?
I know some.
Then you know we go where the crow tells us. Unquestioned, without remorse, without any sort of delay. If that crow has come to you with those instructions, I suggest you follow them, as I plan on doing as well.
He takes a long moment to consider your words. I cannot simply abandon the town and all its people based on the word of one crow. For all I know, this is just a madman.
What can you tell us of the Emperor? Are the rumors true? They have come to my ears as well. Is he sick?
He looks around the room once again. Once again, word of this does not leave this room, else I will cut out each and every one of your tongues. And he leans back towards Alistair. The Emperor is sick, yes. Godfrey has fallen ill.
Does he bleed?
He casts his eye down and nods his head. He does.
Alistair takes a deep breath. How long? How long has he bled?
Can't be more than a few days.
Before this, would you consider your Emperor a healthy man? How old is he? How do the years weigh on him?
Age is of little consequence to one in the throne of the Emperor. But he is a healthy man.
Perhaps a chance of 1 in 10. Even so, he would survive. The crow sends messages. The crow, by whatever means, seems to know. I am able to arrive when a plague is about to outbreak. I am told to move on when all hope is lost. If this message has been sent and addressed to you, there is a reason behind it.
Have you not considered that it may be the crows who are organizing this plague? How do they know when it will strike? How do you know where it will strike if they are not somehow behind it? Then I receive word that the Emperor will die, and a crow turns up on my very doorstep. He looks frustrated, and he's looking out the window. Kind of with his back towards you guys at this point. Forgive me, I am highly strung.
It is a time to be highly strung and to be wary. So, I have once myself refused to abandon a people I knew I should. What? He looks around towards Tamrin and Luna and Ari. Can we, as your apparently sole confidants right now, do to help if you do not plan on following the instructions?
Wait, what do you mean, help?
Be quiet. Do you want to live? Do you want your daughter to live?
Begging your pardon, Crow. But I've been there. I've seen friends and families. People I've grown up with, people I've known my whole life. I've seen them dead in the streets, grasping, trying to reach their front doors and frozen in the winter. Because of this plague. I ain't planning on seeing my daughter that way.
And perhaps if we can solve this problem, you won't. But if the Emperor is in fact has the plague, we know. Think of the number of people. Think of the orders. Think of every parcel, every person, every rat, dog, bird, vermin, that go in and out of Ostwald hourly. All it takes is one touch, one drop.
My lord, he says as he turns to Renford. Begging your pardon, but what happens? I mean, if the Emperor truly is, God's forbid it, if he truly is going to die tonight, what happens to Oswald, to the neighbouring towns? What'll the 100 do when the Emperor dies?
He runs a hand across his face. They will all fight. There will be war, death, famine.
I don't know much about war. I'm not a fighting man myself. But I do know this. Whenever it comes down to stuff like that, I've seen the nature of people. Good, honest people. Your friends, family, people who'd live down the road. People you once thought you could trust. And a sort of sickness gets in their bones. Not the blood plague, no, it's worse than that. It's the hunger to survive. Okay? And they will do things to their fellow people. Things that make the blood plague look tame. Things that'll make the blood plague look tame. All I ask is you consider what happens to me and my family and what's left of it. If I stay here, I haven't got much, and I can't protect my daughter. Not in the place we're living in. So if you honestly want me to stay and try and help with this, I gotta have some insurances.
It's true, war makes monsters of us all. Wise words for a peasant man.
I wasn't always a peasant, my lord.
Nor was I always a lord.
Aye.
And he looks at the two, Tamarin and Ori. And what of you? What would you have me do?
We wish to fight this. We were driven from our home by plague, and by people who would rather see the world destroyed than for people who have a future to suffer. We do not want that for the rest of this world. If you, and he looks at Alistair, are truly invested in destroying this plague, and you're not the harbinger of it, then we will stand with you. You have my trust. For now.
It is my purpose. It is my curse. To ride upon the coattails of death until I can finally put it to rest once and for all, so it will never stalk this land in this form ever again.
Renford looks towards Ori. And you, Master Swordsman?
Well, Lord, I can tell you now that you are placing blame on the wrong person. I know a true healer. All because I know a false one all too well. And she looks over at Alistair and she's like, I trust you. I can sense that there is good in you. And you do have the true intention to help people. And I want to see this world cleared of this. So I will stand with you.
So Renfred turns again to the window. The sun is setting. We have but hours. When it comes, all hell will break loose. We must be away from here.
Where do you suggest we go?
He says, there are tunnels. I had them built years ago. They'll take you north to Kirchwold, my family estate. Or it once was. It is now no longer under my ownership. But there is a campsite near there where we can flee to for some time.
We best be moving then.
He nods. And I will lead you to the tunnels. Come.
Wait, I have to get my daughter first. Look, I'll
Be swift about it, then.
I'll
Yes.
meet you here. Thank you, my lord. And you, Crow. And he nods to the other two, and he moves with speed that is unusual to see a man quite as stooped and as frail looking as him. He really motors out of there and heads home as quickly as he can.
Yeah, you rush back to Lucia, who's pleased to see you. Dad, you're okay?
No, Lucia, I need you to grab some things, okay?
Okay, what do you need?
No, you don't understand. I mean grab everything.
Everything?
Everything you can carry. Everything you need for the road.
But we just got here.
I know, I'm sorry. Look. I promised we'd make the most of it here. But, some things are gonna happen. The world's about to change again, and I have to make sure that you're okay. So, the Crow says I'm gonna be fine, but we're going with him, okay? He's,
We're going with the Crow. But doesn't he bring the plague?
No, listen, sweetheart. I need you to do this for me, and I need you to do it now. No more questions, okay? I need you to grab everything you need. Don't take anything heavy. Grab everything in the bag. And don't say anything to the neighbors. And we're going. Right now. You understand?
Fine. She runs and gets her things. She comes back downstairs a few minutes later, and you set out together. As soon as you leave the house behind, you hear a bell tolling in the distance. And you look to Ostwald, and the gigantic bell tower of Emperor Godfrey's is tolling. And that can mean only one thing. The Emperor is dead. And that is where we're going to wrap up the first episode of Turncloaks.
Every single person went.
Great.
God fucking damn.
Yeah, don't mind as we all flip the table.
Yeah.
Oh dear, my friends. Yeah,
It's like
we're
before
ending on a bit of a cliffhanger there, I'm afraid.
Oh my
session
God.
0. Hey, it's the worst thing in the world if the Emperor dies. Episode 1.
The Emperor dies.
Yes, pretty much.
It's like an episode.
Yes, the
it's
worst
like an
thing that could
episode of It's
possibly happen in
Always
this
Sunny.
world is for the Emperor to die. Okay.
Okay, well,
You made me sick, and you threatened my daughter with sickness, and then you were like, but don't worry, you got a house. And then I'm evicted and I have to run for my life through the streets.
hey, you weren't evicted, you gave up tenancy. There's a difference.
It's like that time when I wasn't, I didn't actually voluntarily condemn my wife to death. I just, decided to go to a casual meeting and she died.
Hey, these things
all
have
my fault.
consequences. But yes, that is this week's episode. Of course, we'll be back same time next week for another episode. If you guys enjoyed it, then please do let us know by leaving one of your wonderful 5-star reviews on iTunes or Stitcher. We'd love to read some of those out in these coming weeks. So make sure to go and show us some love over there. Or you can follow us on Turncloaks Pod on Twitter and let us know your thoughts on the episode. But let's quickly go around to cast and crew. What did we think of our very first episode, and where can we find one another online? Let's start with Tall School.
I am Tall Skull. I love this game. I love the whole idea of this world and everything that's going on. So it is just amazing. I'm glad to be here and cannot wait to see where this story goes. You can find me pretty much as Tall Squall across all social media. I share the name with a jacket from Land's End that is a squall jacket that comes in a tall size. So pretty much Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, all of those things, Tall Squall. Be sure to look me up. And I do run a campaign on Saturdays on my channel on Twitch.
Fantastic. Let's go to Sydney.
Hi, I'm Sydney, and you can follow me on everything at Sydneyak. I have a YouTube channel. I'm starting to use Instagram because I'm hip and with the times, and I tweet. I do all of those things, all the things the cool kids do. I do all of them.
Fantastic. And the first question: did you enjoy the episode? And
oh yeah,
reactions.
Sorry. yeah. That was intense. I'm really excited to see where that goes. I really got to get a sword so people stop giving me so much crap about not having one. But it was really good. I'm really excited for the next one.
Fantastic. Josh.
Yeah, it's good. I realised that I'm playing the least combat efficient character ever, and Will just declared a war in the campaign, so I'm super excited.
There's no war yet. There's just a death.
Yeah, there's no.
Which will lead
it's going to happen.
Not just one war, literally 100 wars.
Yeah, it's great. So no, I'm super excited, and it's just nice. But I think it's so many campaigns focus on these big heroic people, but I think it's much more interesting to focus on the little guys who are getting swept up in all of it. And maybe we'll find a little hero in all of us. Yay!
And then we'll kill him.
Yeah, and then we'll kill him.
Tiny little hero. Yeah, fantastic. And last but not least, Joseph.
Wonderful episode. I'm excited to get into more of the meat of this, although I think we're already fork and knife deep into it. It's getting intense. But yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Joseph_Swift and on Twitter at JosephIsNotFast.
Fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this first episode. Please do, like I mentioned, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Stitcher, and we'll be back same time next week for our second episode of Turncloaks, where it's all going down, my friends. So until next time, try not to roll too many nat ones, because we want to be here laughing when you do. Good night, everybody.